Good evening, Wakefield. Welcome to the Town Council meeting of Monday, May 19th. I call this meeting to order and I ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will do attendance. We've got Councillor Carney, Councillor Chines, Councillor Chrisley, Councillor Constance, and myself, and I think we'll be joined by the final councillor in a little bit. Moving on to public engagement. Sherry, anyone for public engagement online?
No one tonight.
Okay, and I don't think anyone is in the studio for public engagement. So moving right along, action item 5, action item A, Economic Development Council, quarterly report. Chair Juliana Orsino. Yes, welcome. Speak into the microphone if you can. If you could introduce yourself and then tell us about all the great work that the committee is doing.
Great. Well, thank you. My name's Julianne Orsino. I'm the Economic Development Chairperson. We've been meeting for, it's a little over a year now, appointed by the council to look at areas that we can make improvements or areas of opportunity for economic growth within the town of Wakefield. The town council gave us $1 million to kind of fund some initiatives. So what we've been doing over the past year is looking at some initiatives where we could actually allocate the funds and hopefully move new businesses in and help businesses that are here maybe grow if that's what they're looking to do. To date, we have, I gotta look at my phone if that's okay. I think you folks have the spreadsheet?
We do.
Yeah?
Yes.
We've allocated funds into a few buckets. So the first one is the Sign a Facade program. We allocated $400,000. That's been wildly successful. Folks have really come forward, and I think maybe you've seen some of the improvements in town. Some folks have put up new signs, they've done their facades, and really starting to make Wakefield downtown really look great, even better than before. We did a digital marketing program, so that was for folks who maybe could learn how to grow their business or become a little more social media savvy. I think there were about 20 businesses that came to the program, and everyone I've talked to who's taken part said it's really great, it was really wonderful. We gave the Chamber of Commerce $10,000 for speakers hearings, and that, I think the way they've structured it is folks can go, businesses can go and learn from other business folks who maybe are, have pearls of wisdom to give as far as being really successful. Project Pop-Up, I think it was 2 years ago, Wakefield had done a pop-up program, and again, really successful. So we've allocated $100,000 there to do another pop-up within Wakefield. They're going to rent space, and then this is going to be for a year. So they'll rent the space for a year, and they'll have businesses come in and try out being a brick and mortar within Wakefield, see if it catches fire, to see how well they'll do here. We allocated $150,000 for marketing and PR for the town and for businesses within the town. I always think, because I'm not a spring chicken, I always go back to the I Love New York. I remember when that first hit, everyone was like singing that song everywhere. And I really always view that as a very successful government, municipal marketing campaign that's wildly successful. The next one is for creative arts and cultural events. We allocated $100,000 for that. So if folks want to put on an event, but they don't necessarily have the funding or they need help with the funding, they can come to us for putting together an application. They have to go through all the town permits and everything to make sure that the town is agreeing that they can run an event. And then we'll I think it was $5,000. They can come in up to $5,000 if they need to help run their events. And then the creative arts is temporary public art. I think we've all seen things where you go to a municipality to see some cool public art. I think Newburyport does it really well, where they'll put out like the fishes and people come to see the fishes. So we have some folks who are actually really interested in doing some temporary public art. We're calling it creative arts because it could be music, it could be dance, it could be anything. My phone keeps talking too long. Sorry, gang. And the last one. We had a market assessment done in 2017, about. So we've allocated $25,000 to update that, because the market assessment gives a tremendous amount of information on the business community here within Wakefield, areas of we call them gaps, where maybe there's an opportunity for certain types of business to come in. And that's actually underway right now. And then because the sign and facade program was so successful, we actually allocated $150,000 for a second round. So more folks are coming to Erin's the economic development director, coming to Erin saying, I missed out on the first round, can I participate in the second round? And what we have left to allocate is $5,000. Right now the spend is, that's actually been out the door, is about $30,000. But there's a lot in the pipeline for the invoices to come in and the checks to go out. So that's what we've been doing for the past year. Marian's been great. Councilor Butt's been great as a liaison. And then we had Councilor Dombrowski, who's now moved on, and I believe Councilor Constance is going to be our new liaison. Any questions?
Thank you so much for that overview. As the liaison up to now, the entire group has done such a great job. Your council members, your meetings are very efficient. Everyone comes with such great knowledge. I think, and Erin's done a great job. This was supposed to support Erin in kind of thinking about town-wise, with this $1 million ARPA investment, how we can make our town brighter and better. And I think you guys have all done it. It's so great to see these projects. Just wanted to remind people that the pop-up, the initial, one of the first pop-ups was the Inspire Cafe, what led to the Inspire Cafe. So talk about a success story. And so hopefully we'll find a new space and get other businesses that are a great addition to our town. So all of you have done such a great job, and I really appreciate it. And I think it's Councilor Constance and Councilor Butler who will be joining you as liaisons. So you'll get 2 in replacement. So that'll be great to continue doing the work. And yeah, so thank you so much. Councilor Tynes.
No, thank you. This is amazing, and I have to say it's been great to see like the physical progress with the sign and facade program, and to see some really significant improvements to some of the buildings downtown. It's so exciting, and I look at the list of what you've included in terms of buildings that have applied and what's underway, and it's really incredible. I am particularly excited about the pop-up program, and I was wondering if you could speak a little more about that. Do we have a space lined up? What are the parameters in terms of businesses coming in? I love the idea of having this sort of extended trial where we have almost like a place where businesses can come in and sort of beta test being in Wakefield. But would love to hear more details about it if you guys are at the place where you've thought through those.
So Erin has really been leading the charge on this, and she's been doing an amazing job. She had a space lined up, and the good news is that it rented. So now she's going to have to go back and start again. There's some parameters around how big you want the space, so she's really trying to find the right space for it. And I think she's in discussions with folks now about whether they would consider a pop-up within their space. The type of businesses, I think she has, again, she would be better at maybe answering specifically. But I think she has a few businesses who are really interested in this program. But the one piece right now is really getting the space. So again, she had it all lined up and then like, oh, we rented it. So it's like, well, I guess that's
a
better.
nice problem to have.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent. I really am excited about the work that's going on. I also just want to highlight the creative arts piece of it. I think is incredible. We're a community that's known for the performing arts, the creative arts. I mean, you see that in the schools, you see that in the events that are going on. We had a Porch Fest this year that in its first year had like 80 locations. So I think that really, not only do I think that helps sort of create vibrancy in a downtown area, but I think it also plays to our strengths as a community as well. So really excited about all of this and appreciate all the work that's gone into it.
Thank you.
That was just my only follow-up question on Porch Fest. Has Aaron or anyone else on the council had a outreach with Porch Fest in any degree up for this coming year?
I'm not sure if Aaron has.
It is happening again, though.
Yeah.
They have the date,
September 6th,
so
right?
it's September 6th, yeah.
And that's very much a resident-driven.
Organic thing?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It went from 4 folks sitting around the table to, was it 80? It was like over 100 bands showed up.
I mean, we had just as
Expecting people.
context when a couple of those original 4 folks were organizing it, they had sat down with Aaron Kokinda and myself, and we were talking about is like, again, sort of a beta test, oh, maybe we have like 3 or 4 locations downtown on like town property just as a way of starting. And clearly they were able to take it and run with it well beyond that very small, like very, kind of rudimentary original vision that we had talked about.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for your overview.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? I think though, just 2 things to add. I think anyone watching tonight, if you have an idea, go to Erin. Erin has done such great work in the town. New businesses have come to town. People go to her for ideas, so definitely feel free to go to Erin Kokinda. That was the goal of that position. The council specifically works on these projects that Juliana just highlighted, but you can also reach out to the council and give ideas. I know they've done great surveys and really talk to businesses and community members about being really thoughtful and deliberate. And the one thing that I want to say is the market assessment was last done in 2017, which was before pandemic. And so everything's changed a lot, right? What the needs were, more people are working from home, more people are around during the day. So what the market, what we need to provide to people has also changed. So I'm really excited. I hope once that comes, somebody from the council will come and share that with us, because I'm excited to see how much the market's changed over the last 8 years.
Yeah, great, definitely.
Councilor Carney.
For the purpose of brevity, everything's been said here. I think you're doing a great job, and your committee and Aaron, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Steve, anything to add?
I'm thrilled that Erin is back, so I don't have to
We miss you.
be in the meetings anymore. No, a great work, and I think over the next quarter, you're really going to see the actual work being done on a lot of these buildings. So it's really going to be kind of fun to see that.
Yeah.
And when I'm walking around downtown, I get stopped. Steve, this is great. This is wonderful. I thank the town council. Very prudent use of the money. Got to use it all by December 31st, 2026.
Correct.
Perfect.
And you're on goal to do that.
That is definitely our goal.
Okay.
Yes. We, every meeting, I say that date, every meeting.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item 5B, intermunicipal agreement, public health excellence for shared services grant.
Sherry, is Anthony on yet?
No, he's
No.
not on yet,
Okay.
so we can do traffic advisory.
Anthony Choi is at his budget hearing in Melrose.
So-
He's supposed to be
We will come
supposed to be
back.
finished by 7:15, but if we can jump over to Lieutenant Anderson
Let's go to
see, that would be
5C,
great.
traffic advisory committee recommendations. Lieutenant Anderson?
Yeah, He's coming on right now.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi, Joe. Can you hear us?
We can.
Perfect.
Good evening,
Hello.
Madam Chair, members of the Town Council. For the record, Joe Anderson, Chair of the Traffic Advisory Committee. Good to see you all. We have 3 recommendations for you to consider tonight from some of our recent meetings. The first is a request that compliant high visibility crosswalk signs be installed at the existing crosswalk location near 1155 Main Street in Greenwood. That's in the area of the Blessed Sacrament Church. We've received several complaints in recent time from citizens that it's a difficult location to cross, and often traffic doesn't stop there. That area, especially that crosswalk, provides accessibility to locations like the post office, the church. There's an MBTA bus stop there, and as you know, several businesses in the area. I don't know if you want to take them one by one or have me go through all 3.
Let's go through all 3.
Sure.
Okay, we can do one vote. Yeah, do all 3, Lieutenant.
Perfect. The second is to add some enhancements to the existing crosswalk at Water Street near Nacella Park. As you know, this location has a new mixed-use development there, and based on some of the developer contributions, we recommended that during the initial review for the Board of Appeals, that they contribute to rectangular rapid flashing beacons to enhance the existing crosswalk. That crosswalk was, I believe, not long ago, was realigned with the entrance to Nacella Park, so that way pedestrians could actually cross straight to the park. But Water Street is our only real state route in town. It's a busy road. There's a fair amount of speed and activity in that roadway, so we recommend the rapid flashing beacons there. Specifically, some of the complaints that I've received, one in particular was from a blind pedestrian that had tried to cross over toward Shaw's, and traffic wasn't stopping despite the use of his white cane, which is difficult to hear, but I think just points to why we need some enhancements there versus maybe other locations in town. The third is a request to add the same rectangular rapid flashing beacons to the existing crosswalk on Albion Street near Foundry Street. This area, as you know, provides accessibility to and from our commuter rail station, St. Joseph Church, and North Avenue in general. With all the development in the area of Foundry Street, there's a lot of pedestrians traveling to and from that area, and it's a busy area, especially during peak hours. So anything we can do to enhance that existing crosswalk and have traffic pay better attention to pedestrians crossing, we believe would be a well-suited crosswalk for these enhancements. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you so much. Councilor Carney.
Yeah, Lieutenant, thank you. What concerns me, I think these devices are great, but what concerns me, and I've witnessed this, is all of a sudden, then if they're not working, and then people proceed across the street, and there's nothing flashing. And people get used to that flashing, and they're driving along, and they're not expecting someone to be crossing the street. So I think we have to make sure we're making a commitment here to keep them well maintained and operating at all times. People are habitual. They basically, every morning they're drinking their coffee and they're thinking when they're going to work, and they're expecting something to happen. And if it doesn't happen the way they think it's going to happen, someone's going to get hurt.
You bring up some good points. I think there's a couple of issues. One is if we put them everywhere, they become white noise and people don't really pay that much attention, so we try to put them strategically. And the other is to invest in quality products, which the DPW recently has. Ones where the solar is working the way it should. Some of the earlier generation crosswalk signs were, like you said, they were hit and miss. They would work for a little bit, and then the solar infrastructure would kind of deteriorate, and it would have to be a real sunny day for them to work. But what we've been seeing lately is they work, and they stay working, and I know the DPW is committed to maintaining them, but we haven't seen many maintenance issues with the ones they've installed more recently, but that's definitely something we need to keep an eye on. I agree.
Lieutenant Anderson, are these just flashing lights or do they have sound associated with them?
There's no sound on the ones that we've received recently, to my knowledge. That's a good point because the actual crossing locations that are a signalized intersection do have sound. I'd have to reach out to our distributor and see if they have an option for that because that would be especially good for the one on Water Street there.
Yeah.
But no sound to my knowledge.
Okay, could you reach about just that one in particular? I'm just wondering if they do have ones with sound that we could request for that specific one.
Oh, no, that's a great idea. Definitely.
Councillor Chrisley.
Hi, Lieutenant Anderson, John Chrisley. I just wanted to follow up on an email I sent to you and Bill Renault about the striping that goes on either side of the hatched crosswalks. Is it our standard best practice now to put these triangular hatch marks to keep cars about 8 to 10 feet away from either side of a crosswalk so that, so a driver can't park immediately up to the crosswalk line?
Sure. So I think we take that on a case-by-case basis. For existing ones, we've kind of we've addressed those as we've received complaints. So if we receive complaints that people aren't parking within a decent distance away from the crosswalk, we've come back to the council to ask for parking restrictions on either side of the crosswalk in order to do that. Right. New crosswalk installations, the engineer definitely considers that. Sometimes, depending on the neighborhood, it would eliminate parking on either side, and it depends on the street. Some it's not that much of an issue, and some streets it is an issue and it causes a visibility issue. So for new installations, we definitely consider that. Yeah. And then others that are already pre-existing that we're enhancing, we look to do that on a case-by-case basis as it comes up.
Yeah, I just, from the response I got from the town engineer, I know he addressed the one enhancement here on Main Street by the Blessed Sacrament, but I wasn't clear about the other two locations on the agenda tonight.
Sure. So the North Ave one, there's really no parking there. I think there may be some limited parking by the church during church hours, but I don't believe there's any parking on either side of that crosswalk location. The Water Street one, there is, however, I believe as part of that line painting work that they'll be doing, they're supposed to add T's and L's to actually delineate the parking spaces along Water Street anyway. We've had some complaints over the years of some overlap parking, block driveways that you don't really realize are, access points to some of the businesses there, like the two restaurants that are near Shaw's. So that was on their radar anyway. So I believe they'd probably have that as part of it, but I can circle back and make sure.
Well, I'm glad you're getting the one upgraded by the Blessed Sacrament Church, because I got a couple complaints about that too. So I think that's a very necessary thing that you're tackling.
We agree, definitely.
Councillor Butler, who's joined us.
Yes, I've joined y'all. Hi there. Quick question: do you have recollection of us ever sort of dialing back the restrictions on traffic? So like we've installed a bunch of things, and we've installed throughout the years. The one that springs to mind that I get complaints from is the no right turn ever on red at Four Corners. It seems, the voices that I hear in my head are that, that's ridiculous outside of school hours. And I just want to know, I know we're putting up all these devices. Do we ever go back and look at the things we've done and dial them back? Or do you know of any instance where we've imposed less of a restriction?
To answer your question specifically, I'm sure we have, but I can't think of one in particular. But I know that we've definitely made adjustments in terms of parking restrictions. I know we have. We've extended the hours for downtown businesses. We've done a number of things like that. But
no, not driving, not parking.
Sure, I'm sure we have. I just can't think of one in particular off the top of my head. The no turn on red, I know, was part of an initiative back when Chief Scory was chair to enhance the safety around the schools. So a lot of those, like you mentioned, was no turn on red for intersections that were pedestrian generators and routes for the schools. We really haven't gotten into during certain hours. That's something we could look into. But I don't think there's any intersections in town that only have, no right on red during this time to this time.
Oh, I think maybe I see them in other towns then. I had assumed it was ours, but I've seen them, I see them all the time around schools, and I'm just wondering, why we wouldn't. All right, no worries.
Is that something that you'd maybe like traffic advisor and Lieutenant Anderson to look into?
Sure. I'd like us to look into if we have ever made. I don't believe we have ever downgraded.
I think if other towns, if that's something, particularly that intersection, that four-way intersection, is it a way, Lieutenant Anderson, did you freeze?
I think my camera's frozen. Hold on
Yeah.
one second.
That's fine, as long as you can hear us.
It's a great shot of you, though.
Hey, can I just add one thing on this? One of the things I think if traffic advisory does look at it to keep in mind is that the use of the school is not limited just to school hours. So you've got like a very active like soccer field there. Like there are other activities there as well. And so I would just want to make sure that if we do make changes, we're considerate of kind of the whole universe of uses of that area and the likelihood of when there will be pedestrians there.
Sure.
Could I ask another question of
Yeah.
Lieutenant Anderson? Lieutenant, could you talk a little bit about, I think we all kind of picture the RRFB intersections with, again, the solar powered thing. You hit a button, there are the flashing lights that should slow cars down. Can you describe what the MUTCD compliant crosswalk on Main Street, what that looks like and what kind of enhancement that would represent?
On Main Street in Greenwood by
Yes.
the Blessed Sacrament.
Yep.
Those would just be high visibility signs. So like the fluorescent yellow signage that shows the two pedestrians crossing the street with an arrow pointing toward the crosswalk itself. Okay. And then if in the future we believe it warrants the RFBs, we would come back to you with that. But as of right now, it needs repainting and those high visibility signs.
Did the TAC consider bludgeoning that acronym, the RFB approach there as well?
We did. I think we try to take each one on a case-by-case basis, and where we've already made those enhancements initially with the high visibility signage, and it still isn't working. That's where we look to add those. Look at factors like traffic volume, speeds, collisions in the area, and things of that nature. So we try to take an approach, and we were working on more recently a policy to present to the council on where and when and what type of parameters would justify some of this signage and enhancements, such as the flashing lights, because we don't want to have them everywhere, because then they become kind of meaningless. The point is sign should draw your attention to something that's kind of you weren't expecting, and a flashing light should draw your attention to something that you may be going too fast or not paying attention enough to make adjustments to. So we always consider it, but I think we try to do it in the most the simplest form possible, and then evaluate and see how it goes. Same with traffic calming. If we can do something cheap and easy and motorists respond well to it, then we've done our job. And if not, then we continue on from there.
Yeah, I guess my request would be that if we do the high visibility crosswalk on Main Street, that we do keep a close eye on it. And I know now we have access to the data where we can look at speeds and traffic volume, but I am very concerned that is not enough for that particular intersection. I mean, that is a section of town where we've actually had a pedestrian fatality in the last few years. It's a wide street. People can, build up a fair amount of speed in that area. And so I understand and recognize kind of taking a stepwise approach here of starting with the high visibility crosswalk, but I just want to make sure that we don't let it go too long to look at a further enhancement if the data suggests that we're not seeing a change in behavior from the standpoint of the motorists using that street.
Do we have a policy on how we use that data? Is it like 6 months out or 3 months out?
Oh, did we lose
lose him
We
entirely.
might have lost him.
I think he said they're working on that policy.
Okay, that's the policy
Yeah,
they're working on,
exactly.
because we approved
We approved the
Collecting
use
the
of
data.
collecting
Yeah.
the data, yeah.
the,
we have
the
the tool.
data collection,
We
the
have the tool,
tool. Okay,
Yeah, that's how we knew people were going faster with the narrower lanes on North Ave.
is that, yeah?
Yeah, we were going, this January, we went faster than the previous January. People were driving faster on the narrower North Ave. They were going 38 versus 34, 36, both of which are over the speed limit. But, so, yeah, that was,
Good recollection.
occasionally I show up and,
Hi, Lieutenant Anderson. So Steve and others answered my question for me. So that's the policy that you're getting to us about when you would use data from that, like, to collect the data of how these are working out. So 3 months or 6 months or a year, you're like, and you'll be back to report that data would be part of the policy.
Correct, and we want to look at things like traffic calming projects too, and make sure that when we make adjustments in town, that it's not displacing a problem elsewhere in town. That's everything with traffic has an opposite effect sometimes. So whether it's parking or traffic in general, so we don't want to displace the problem either.
No, I appreciate that. As someone who uses the one by Melrose, Wakefield, and Main Street and the commuter rail very regularly, I'm a big fan of these. They do slow down cars. I think especially at that intersection when people are trying to make a left turn and people are coming in and out of the hospital, like it's been really helpful to have that there and to cross the street to where there's a sidewalk. So I think they work. I think having data to show that they're working would be really helpful.
do we have,
Sure, we'll do.
Counselor Butler.
sorry, do we have the data from, did we decide to keep that thing on Merriam Street up forever?
It wouldn't be forever, but we are looking at, we're around probably a little bit over our 6-month review period for that trial, and I'm going to be utilizing the Urban SDK platform to see exactly how it looks. I can tell you that my initial look at Merriam Street tonight, it was around 33 miles an hour was the 85th percentile speed when we did the traffic study back in, don't quote me, I believe it was July of 24, and now it's down to about 28 miles an hour. So I believe it's having an impact.
Good job.
I think we might want to keep it up for a little bit longer. So that's going to be my pitch to TAC, is that we maybe extend that for a little bit longer through the summer into the fall.
I think I'd also like to know if people are still using it as a cut through, like if the thing deterred people from cutting through.
I'll also look at the traffic volumes too and see if they match the study versus the data set that we have through Urban SDK. But my thought is it probably still is a cut through just because of the It
was funny, I hadn't even thought of using it as a cut through until they came before us.
They've increased the traffic on the street by 1.
No, I actually haven't used it.
Any other questions about these recommendations? Any other questions, comments? I've been told we can do a motion for all 3.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the Traffic Advisory Committee recommendations for 1155 Main Street, Water Street near Nacella Park, and Albion Street near Foundry Street.
Second.
Any further discussion?
And just a comment, I would request with the Main Street that we do take a look at that sooner rather than later, given again the potential there for further enhancements to help slow some of the traffic down.
Sure, we can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, 6-0, no opposition. Great, thank you so much, Lieutenant Anderson.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 5D, Town Administrator. Oh, is Anthony back, Sherry?
Yes,
Oh.
he's coming on right.
Just
Yeah.
kidding. Let's go back to 5B, Intermunicipal Agreement, Public Health Excellence for Shared Services Grant. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us.
Hi, thank you for being flexible, allowing me to get a little bit lower on the agenda. Thank you. I wanted to ask, as part of this intermunicipal agreement, to ask the town council to authorize town administrator Mayo to enter the town of Wakefield into an intermunicipal agreement with the cities and towns of Malden, Medford, Melrose, Winchester, and Stoneham as part of the Public Health Excellence Grant for Shared Services Initiative. I submitted a memo, so I'm not going to go through every single point, but essentially the Public Health Excellence Grant has been with the coalition of 6 towns since fiscal year 2021. Wakefield was actually the fiscal agent for the grant for 2 years, from fiscal year 2021 to 2023. And then the fiscal agent was moved to the city of Melrose, but the 6 communities that make up this grant from the Department of Public Health has not changed. We continue to work very well together with the other communities. The background of this grant is that it was formed by the Department of Public Health across the state, so many other cities and towns have joined into groups to regionalize certain services. So Melrose, Wakefield, and Stoneham are already in a regional health department model. And the other 3 communities have joined us to share in the resources of this grant. It focuses a lot on inspectional services and professional development for inspectors. We make sure that our inspectional services teams are up to date and they have all of the best practices and ability to get to trainings much as possible. The grant also funds a lot of our materials costs, so our inspection tools, our pool kits, our thermometers. A lot of our essential tools are also able to be funded by this grant as well. By sharing in these services, we also have the ability to tap into regional resources. So we have a shared services coordinator that coordinates this grant for us. We also have a regional epidemiologist. This person helps us cover our infectious disease and communicable diseases tracking as part of their job. We have a regional health inspector that helps us cover for vacancies and for helping us with other inspections needs across the 6 communities. We are looking to fill a communication specialist and a regional public health nurse position as well through this grant. That would help us with increasing our capacity for delivery of public health services to our 6 communities. This intermunicipal agreement essentially allows the town of Wakefield to continue to participate in this grant arrangement, and it also establishes a governing board made up of the health directors from each community, these 6 communities, to distribute the funding as equally as possible and to address the public health needs for each community. So essentially, from a functional standpoint, this won't change our current arrangement and the things that we are doing with the Public Health Excellence Grant, but this is a requirement by the Department of Public Health to continue accessing their resources. I'd be also happy to answer any questions from the council.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Councilor Butler.
Sure. I guess, so we pay, the town of Melrose collects the administrative fee of roughly $75,000 or $80,000 a year on this. And then I see that these other towns have joined. It's a regional grant. So if we withdraw from this, I presume we lose any access to this money.
That's correct, yes. So this group of 6 that we have, the town of Wakefield currently participates in the grant. In a situation if Wakefield decided to pull out from the grant, they wouldn't be able to access the resources. That's correct.
Right, and we don't pay anything. It comes out of the grant.
Well,
Correct, yes.
right,
It's
but
all
let's
costs are
not
covered
kid
by the
ourselves
grant.
that it's free. It's $80,000 to
No,
Melrose
well,
that we don't divvy up amongst ourselves.
Well, the rest of the money is free.
Yeah, the rest of the money is free.
We're not, there's no line item where we're paying Melrose anything. It comes out of the grant from the DPH.
I know, but I don't believe in the magic bucket of cash, Steve.
It's been a magic bucket for 5 years. So
I
let's keep
know.
going.
I'm like, I liked when we got the 80,000 ourselves to administer. It doesn't, but it's fine. I mean, and then, so it's the health directors of the 6 towns?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. But are you health director for both us and Stone?
Yeah, so 3 of those health directors are Anthony.
So
That's correct.
that feels vaguely like, so what would we vote on? Like, Anthony gets to vote. All right. There's no reason to get, I mean, I like I don't believe there's magic money, but it is free, and it's not something we could change even if we wanted to, really. So, no further questions, Your Honor.
Well, if it's helpful, I can provide a little context. So it may seem like magic money, but essentially it's coming from the State Department of Public Health. So they signed recently they signed the SAFE 2.0 bill. It's actually a bill that the governor co-signed on. It's a bill that focuses on providing public health services to all cities and towns. So the belief is that regardless of what city and town you're from, and regardless of population or ability to serve, all residents should have access to public health services. So the Department of Public Health has allocated this funding across the state to help address any kind of inequities. So smaller communities, larger communities are partnered up to be able to kind of meet those requirements.
Councilor Carney.
I just want to point out, back in the early 2000s, the reason we're in the situation we're in right now is the fact that the health situation in Wakefield was a disaster. That we had some problems. We had people who weren't doing their job. We were back down on inspections. There was no follow through. It was just a small local group trying to get things done. I mean, I'm not going to bring up old sins, but I'm impressed with what they're doing now, how they're doing it, how they're managing it, and all of the resources that they provide to the town. I want to thank them.
Thank you. Councilor Constance.
Yeah, thank you for putting this memo together. I thought it was really comprehensive, and as a newer member, it was very helpful to understand a little bit about the history. As I was going through it, I couldn't really think of a reason, a downside not to participate. And one question I had is just as you were talking, when you said that the funding is allocated equally to the 6 towns, I'm assuming that's on a pro rata basis by population?
We don't necessarily do it by population. So essentially, throughout the year, there are different needs that comes up. So I'll make an example. We've had one community that had a decrease in inspectional services, so they had several staff leave. So that community needed additional support for the one to 2 months that it took them to rehire new staff and get trained. So we provided extra support to them. There have been times when we've had staffing changes that then we take more advantage of the regional staff that are available. So it's not exactly an even kind of 6-way split, but I believe throughout the years and throughout our processes we have basically broken even across all the communities when there's been a need.
Thank you.
Councilor Butler.
Is the primary role of the inspectional services team in the various and sundry cities, is it primarily restaurants and sort of, food service establishments?
Yeah, so the inspectional services, at least how it's defined here for our communities, covers food inspections, restaurants, supermarkets. It also covers housing inspections, residential inspections. It also covers body art, body work, dumpsters. That's generally how it's done in our area. So the inspectional services covers kind of a wide breadth of expertises.
I have to imagine both Malden and Medford have much bigger inspector groups than us then, because they have a lot more restaurants and a lot more tattoo parlors, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think, each community still maintains its own inspectional services. So like we have Wakefield employed, health inspectors, and Malden has their own people. This is really, Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, more of like basically a regional backstop for those. Think of it as like an insurance policy if someone is unavailable or if a community's in a crisis where, their capacity's been depleted because of vacancies, departures, and they need people to fill in. I think, Anthony...
So this covers overtime and stuff for, like, if our people go and cover theirs or something along that line? Is that what this is? Or?
Sorry.
There hasn't been a time when we've had an inspector from employed by our communities that has had to go to another community to cover their inspections. That's generally why we have a regional inspector under the grant, is to cover those situations. I guess it would be feasible if we ended up in a situation where we didn't have a regional inspector and the community really direly needed, we could step in and help, and this grant could cover overtime, but that hasn't come up yet.
But it really is basically sort of an inspector that falls outside of each of the community's public health departments, who's an additional resource that each of the 6 communities can draw from.
Correct.
Correct, yes.
And Anthony, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Anthony, if remind me, I mean, I know we've also drawn on kind of this grant to kind of hire people with some specialized expertise that we otherwise wouldn't hire specifically for Wakefield or even Wakefield, Melrose, and Stoneham, like the epidemiologist.
Yes, that's correct. So the epidemiologist actually started with us about 3 to 4 months ago. There's a little bit of overlap with the public health nurse position, so they're both capable of doing contact tracing, being able to do investigations for foodborne illness. But epidemiologist has a different skill set in terms of doing data analysis as well. So having this grant, another example of a perk is that the I'm blanking on the name, the Youth Risk Behavior Survey and other surveys as well, we're able to use these funds to pay for that. And because now we have an epidemiologist under the grants, they're able to help us do the data analysis, process the results, help us interpret the results, and help us present it in a way that makes sense for the community as one example of value added.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Move to approve Town Administrator Mayo to sign the intermunicipal agreement for the Public Health Excellence for Shared Services Grant.
I think it said I sign it. Do you sign it?
No,
or
I think I signed it.
Okay, then never mind. I
Second.
read it wrong. And Councillor Carney seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, 6-0. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to the new town members. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Anthony.
I had to look up epidemiology, no. Before I voted.
No, but again, it's not a role that we would, we would hire on our own.
Okay, going back to the agenda, item 5D, Town Administrator Search Committee. Okay, thank you, everyone. So we're going to pick this back up from our last meeting. So at our last meeting, we decided to appoint Kevin to the search committee and to appoint Doug. I couldn't remember his last name for a second, so I said Butler. Doug Lyons to the search committee. So that's 2 out of the 7. We need 5 more positions. We all submitted names. So why don't we, I'm figuring this out alongside all of you. Why don't we do the names that we assigned first? So each of us were supposed to give 2 names of somebody that worked for the town or served on one of our board/committees. And in our package is kind of a spreadsheet of everyone's choices, plus 1 more for Doug, who gave us more names.
I just said pick one of them. Choose one.
So I guess, do we want to have a discussion? Councillor Chines.
Maybe just start with an easier one. It looks like 4 of the 6 of us identified Ann Wade as the DPW as one of the people, and so I don't know if there's kind of consensus that maybe that's one of the individuals, given that she seems to be sort of the one that drew the most votes in our little informal poll that we all submitted. Just to start with an easy one.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, I had it wrote down, so I can't complain about that, but it's 4 of the 6 of us voted for her, so.
I had actually said Ann's name earlier and then didn't. I was pleasantly surprised to see. I think she would be a great addition. What she does in the DPW is great. I think not having a direct reportee of the position is important. I think she would be great.
I think that makes sense, that approach.
Okay. Do we have to take a vote?
I would.
Do we want to I mean, why don't we discuss the other one before we take a vote, so that way
To do
maybe
them
we can
separately?
just do
Okay.
a vote for both of these two appointees and then get to the community, rather than voting individually for all 5 people that we're appointing.
I don't think I understood the second page. Was that just notable members?
No, so from the first page, we're choosing 2, and the next page are people who applied, and we're choosing 3.
We're choosing 3 of
Yeah,
those.
so let's do the first page first. Okay, so anyone want to talk about anyone else that they recommended and why? Councilor Carney?
I've known Dan Sherman for years, and he's always played a special role in this town. He's always gone out over and beyond what a finance committee member. He continues not being the chairman, but reporting every year on our financial situations. In the coming years, due to the governor's recent announcement that to put a hiring freeze on, I'm not sure we're looking at good times here. So I think we're going to need Dan Sherman even more in the future, and I would feel strongly that Dan would be a great member of that committee.
Councilor Chrisley?
Well, the 2 people I nominated, I just wanted to, I had a chance to talk with Jim Hogan during this campaign season. I know he did a lot of work on the MBTA zoning overlay project for the town. Strikes me as a very bright, committed person from the planning board. So that was my reason for nominating him. And I understand Jennifer McDonald, her communications role in the town. She's worked on 2 other hiring selection committees for senior staff previously, and she has some experience in the private sector as well. So I thought they were both solid candidates to serve on the search committee.
Councilor Tynes?
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say, I mean, there's no one on this list that I would be uncomfortable on the search committee for. I think everyone is great. Just following up on Councilor Carney's comments, so another area where it seems like there is some consensus, or at least some alignment, is on the idea of having a finance committee member. I know you've mentioned Dan Sherman. Stacy, I think you had selected him as well.
Yes.
Doug, you had mentioned Jim Sullivan or Teray Howell, and so that may be, as we think about this second spot, a finance committee member, whether it's Mr. Sherman or someone else, certainly would make sense to me, and that would be an approach I would be comfortable with personally. I also had put in Catherine McDonald's name. I think she would be phenomenal for the search committee as well. But like I said, no bad choices for anyone on this list.
I think I had just put on Jim or Teray in terms of both being on the finance committee, and Jim. I know Jim runs a business now and does a lot of interviewing and does a lot of hiring, and Teray's background also. Like, I feel like he has done a fair bit of interviewing as well over the years. So, and Dan would be fine as well. Sadly, I was nestled in my own little world of the finance committee before coming on here, so I don't have as deep a relationship with the other folks, although, and I think it looks like most of the other people, other than I don't know Jim Hogan well, are sort of employees versus board members. And I didn't necessarily want to have 2 employees.
Of the 3 people on Finance Committee that are on this list, does anyone have any sense of time commitment, or, whether one or the other would be more available or more willing participant? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just throwing it out.
I don't, except Dan Sherman applied in the other category
Right,
as
I
well.
saw that,
So I guess he identified as having the time commitment.
Dan is essentially retired.
Yeah, so he's on the other list. So yeah, and I guess my choice is I really want to make sure that we get somebody on the search committee kind of from the human and health and human services world, because I think that's a big part of big part of the budget, big part of what we do in town. But I'm happy I think Catherine and Elaine Silva and Board of Health are amazing, but we can also look at the community members to kind of get that voice of kind of the social people who kind of have that experience. So I think the financial, I'm okay with that. I think if Dan, Dan gives so much time up at town meeting. He really understands the financial stuff.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
So, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to appoint Ann Waite and Dan Sherman to the two town employee / committee member slots on the search committee.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye, okay. Whew, great, thank you. Okay, moving on to the community list. So we have the list in front of us, and we also have their backup materials. Thank you again to echo what Councillor Chine said. We are blessed with an abundance of riches and volunteers in this town. This list is amazing, and everyone could serve and do a great job on the search committee. That being said, how should we proceed?
I also just think it's a rich list, and I would put out there, we often talk about the fact that we would love more volunteers in the town, and if people are not selected who are on this list, if they're not already serving on, in a volunteer role, which there's a lot of people here who are very involved in town things, but there's some new names as well, and I think it would be really exciting to have people continue to put their hands up who are on this list if they're not selected tonight. I think this is really positive.
Following that up, I would recommend, since not that sort of Doug Lyons, Dan Sherman, Kevin Gill, given that we have a number of sort of new members on this secondary list of town folk, I would opt to sort of not round up the usual suspects. Which would largely mean eliminating, to some degree, employees, previous office holders, etc.
There's a number of people on the list who are relatively new to town, relatively, there's people on the list who are, 4 decade plus residents of town and, long term. But there are some new faces here. And there's some candidates who have direct town administrator, city administrator type experience. Would that be a kind of a qualification that would be interesting, or do we feel like, that's too close to what we're looking for?
Councillor Carney.
I have no problem with most of these people. I don't even know, but I have no problem with having someone from the public who's come forward who have good qualifications could contribute. But I wouldn't want all three of them, to be people, from who haven't served within the town, who have no past record of doing anything. I think that would be poor judgment on our part. I think a mixture of all these. I kind of thought that we were going to do a matrix and vote on these in the order of.
I think that probably would have been a good way to do this.
Yeah, in fact,
but I think we said we had to do everything out loud. That's what Mullen said. We couldn't do that. That we couldn't rank them. That we had to discuss. Right, Steve? Is that?
That's what Tom said.
Yeah.
Discuss it here.
Yeah.
I know that would have been simpler.
Yeah.
So to that end, could we, basically go around the group and say, here's sort of our, maybe not rank 1 through, what are there, 15 of them, but here are our top 3, 4, 5 just to get a census to see if we get any commonality on names.
In this forum, absolutely.
Okay, can we just take a minute and then maybe people choose their top 5 from this list? And remind that we picked Dan Sherman, so no need, take him off your list. And Sam Hockenberry also was crossed off the list. Can we do that? Does that? Okay. I don't know if there's Jeopardy music to play WCAT, but just give us a minute.
Elevator music.
Steve can sing for us.
Someone could sing.
I knew someone was going to say that.
As everyone's filling out their top 5, I just want to remind anyone watching that we have a community survey for the town administrator search update. We've created a website, and on the website is this 5-question survey that we encourage people to take and let us know what they want to see in the new town administrator. The survey is open until June 6th, and there's a place in the survey where you can kind of add anything that wasn't asked of you. So check it out on our website. There's also paper copies available. Sherry, I'm looking at you to see if you nod. Yes, paper copies available at Town Hall, at the library, at the Senior Center. So you can go down to Town Hall, the library, the Senior Center to get paper copies of their survey, but also please fill out the survey online and before June 6th.
Yeah.
How many do you want?
5.
Just to let you know when we're ready.
I'm
Or
looking.
you call pencils down at some
Yeah.
point.
I'm ready. Is someone making a chart, or do you want me to
I can
keep a track? Yeah.
I can take a tally.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever had this happen in 8 years.
A quiet, a hush.
It's uncomfortable.
Sorry, it's a lot of names to go through, and again, all good names, which is great.
How's the scent doing? Another minute?
I'm good.
One more minute.
One more minute, okay.
Please.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like we need a whiteboard or something.
I know.
No, it's like the papacy, but with an uncovered bowl where we've all vote
Black
and
smoke.
people start dropping off.
You can watch us on Zoom or wait for the white smoke to waft from the top of the high school.
But we have,
Steve was talking about earlier, we used to have canoes in the lake that had ashtrays, so there was smoke
Right.
at town council.
Well, I think
come hold us.
you drop it down from 5 to 3 to sort of 1, and you drop it down that we choose our 5, we choose 3, and sort of then you start kicking out people. Like if anybody didn't make, like if anybody gets no votes, they're out next round. So like.
Let's see how we do when.
Just I'm thinking that the way you do this is, we all give our 5. If there's, anybody who's not on anyone's list, you're out.
Yes.
And then we vote again and you pick 3 from the ones who are remaining. And also then if you don't make that list, then you're out. And then we discuss. Would be how
But why would it change if you weren't on the?
because you have to
if
cut 2
weren't on
people
the-
from you're off the list. So we probably get down to, I don't know, what is this, 18 names or something like that?
It's 20.
It's 20 names. We probably lose 5 people.
You don't know
Probably
it's
won't
20
be
names 'cause
mentioned.
we have,
Up to 20, yeah.
could be up
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So
We're doing
there will
5
probably
times
be
6.
5 people that will
That's
be
30.
removed.
30, thank you.
yeah. Gosh.
Oh, there's 30 names?
5
No,
times
no.
6.
Well, 30
5 times
votes.
6. I mean,
there'll be-
there's bound to be overlap. So,
No. There's
yeah.
definitely going to be overlap. The question is if people don't get nominated by anybody, they're out. So we're probably going to lose 3 or 4 people there who are not nominated by any of us in their top 5.
So I would suggest, why don't we go through and then assess sort of if we want to do another step, or if we seem to be kind of gravitating towards consensus, we may not need a
If
second
there's a
vote.
theme. So,
Okay.
yeah, so.
Which there may be or there may not be, but
So does everyone have their 5?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Counselor Constance, can you tell us your top 5?
Certainly. And I stayed with the theme of staying away from current employees. So my top 5 were Steve Magoon, Laura Felch, Maureen Marquis, Tiana Veltswitch, and Jean Sullivan.
Okay. John?
I had Eugene Sullivan, Christine Rue, Emily Rivera, Julie Smith Galvin, and Laura Felch.
Doug,
I had Wayne Tarr.
Chris.
Chris, oops, sorry. Sorry. I think it's his son. Who else? I had Tar, Rivera, Felch, Veldswitch, and I believe it was, Maureen Marquis. And I stayed away from previously elected, largely, and I tried to go demographically outside of the group that we had hiring in the committee.
Okay, and John?
I had Chris Tarr, Emily Riviera, who I don't know, but I thought she'd help human resource background. Gene Sullivan, chairman of the original charter committee. John Harrington, a former town moderator. And Tia from the...
Tiana.
How do you say her last name?
Feldwich.
Yeah. She's the current chairman of the environmental committee.
Jonathan.
I had Emily Rivera, Julie Smith-Galvin, Tiana Veldwich, Laura Felch, and Christine Rue.
And I stayed away from town employees, especially ones that would be direct reports to this position. I think that was just a little conflicted. So I chose Emily Rivera, Maureen Marquis, Tiana Veldwich, Chris Tarr, and Julie Smith-Galvin.
I could do some quick math if you want.
Let's do a quick. And again, just to say this, as our talliers are tallying, all these candidates were amazing, and thank you so much for applying. And a reminder about the search committee, we've hired a search firm. They've posted the position statement. Who knows if people have already applied, the search firm will take care of that. Once they get applications in, they will gather together the search committee that's going to look at every single applicant and then bring in applicants to meet with the search committee. And then the search committee will choose 3 to 4, I believe. I think that was it. I can't remember if it was 3 or 3 to 4.
It was 3 only.
3 only? Okay, 3 candidates to come and meet with the town council where we get the final vote on who we choose.
Although if we don't like any of the 3, we can kick them back.
We start the whole process over again, yes. But we are wishfully thinking that won't happen.
Now I need the Jeopardy music.
You're the singer of the group, so.
People at home are going to be adjusting their television volume.
I know.
We better keep looking, otherwise they'll keep
Sherry,
moving.
we might have to
They'll-
ask
they'll
you to
think.
just sing so people know that something's happening.
Oh, we'll move that right along.
All 6 of them.
We need some of those Hadestown singers to come in. I'm like, that would have been good.
All right, so what I did was I scored basically first choices as 5, second as 4, 3, 2, 1. It's really talk about like watching the sausage made and how
Wait,
government
you thought
works.
we were,
I
were we
didn't
ranking
rank,
in order?
Jonathan.
We didn't
Oh,
rank
you
in
didn't?
order.
Oh.
No,
I
I think it was just a
ranked.
raw
I think just
list.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was thinking it was taking you a while.
I had like a weighted score here and everything.
Steve,
All
did you
I
do
did not
rank?
rank it. I
Okay.
did not rank it. Let me show up 5.
Sorry.
Okay, hang on then.
I was like, how did you get 21?
We're going by frequency of votes, right?
Yeah, just
1, 2.
numerical.
I don't even think
yeah.
we need to do that. That would have been.
thought you gave it away. You said Eugene, so you know him.
That's just what his resume said.
Oh, good for you. I was like, I see Gene Sullivan. I was like, I don't know him like formally.
All right, this is much quicker. So in terms of frequency, Tiana Veltwich was selected 5 times, Emily Rivera 5, Laura Felch 4, Maureen Marquis 3, Jean Sullivan, Christine Rue, I was about to say Wayne Tarr, but Chris Tarr, Julie Smith-Galvin twice each, and Steve Magoon and John Harrington once each.
You say Julie 2 or 3?
2.
I thought you were 3.
I'm sorry, 3.
Not that I'm.
I thought,
Steve, is that what you have too?
I thought I had,
I had Julie at 3.
Yep, no, sorry, I missed one in my notes, but yeah, it is 3.
I thought I had Gene Sullivan at 3 as well.
I don't think so.
I had Jean Sullivan.
No, you're right, sorry, that's
Yeah.
3 as well.
Mhm.
All right, so Rivera and Veldwich 5, Felch 4, Marquis, Sullivan, Smith-Galvin 3, Rue, Tarr 2, Magoon, and Harrington 1.
Does that add up to 30?
Okay, so
At 30.
I feel like this is making me become a sports gambler. So 5 were for Tiana and Emily. So could we all agree on those 2? Would that be good to move on with both of them? Emily and Tiana?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yep.
Are we, okay. So then, I feel like there was a lot of the next level. So should we maybe,
There were what, 2-3 votes or 3-3 votes?
There was 1 4 and 1, 2, 3 3s. So 4 was Felch, and then the 3s were Marquis, Sullivan, and Smith-Galvin. I mean, should
Does
we?
somebody want to speak on behalf of their person, or? I'll let you drive this bus if you.
no, so I think let's do those 4. I don't know if we kind of re-vote based on those 4. Should we do that?
Sure.
Okay, why don't,
So basically, you want us to each give one, or a preference out of
pick
those
2?
4?
pick 2?
I think pick 2 because that
Okay.
way you have a greater
Okay,
likelihood of.
that's great.
All right, so,
Let's do 2.
so I understand Tiana and Emily are in.
They're
Right.
in.
You're going to take a formal vote on that. You
Yeah,
kinda never
we'll-
did.
but
Yeah,
we'll do that
one.
We'll do
All right,
that
just
at
wanna
the
make
end,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
And we're down to Felch, Sullivan, Smith-Galvin, and
And Marquis.
Markey.
So pick 2. And I'm just saying this out loud, but does it make sense to have an alternate
In case.
in
Yeah.
case something comes up with anyone? I mean, we haven't asked Anne if she would accept, like,
I don't think we're giving her a choice, though.
Yeah.
so is that the thing? There's no
I
choice
think
for
that-
Anne.
that Anne
Dan,
would-
we know.
I think Ann would accept.
Dan, we know because he applied. But does it make sense to maybe have an alternate just in case? A non-voting alternate? I don't know.
I think it complicates things.
Yeah.
That's just
Okay.
my 2 cents, but
Okay. I'm just talking out loud.
Yeah, no,
This-
it's a new process. I mean, you haven't been through it in 17 years, so yeah, this is making it up as you go.
What were the names again? Just
Laura Felch, Maureen Marquis, Julie Smith Galvin, and Jean Sullivan.
Those are the next four.
That's the
Right,
the
so-
pool of four in the
So
second
name-
round of
name
our draft
two.
here.
Name 2 on the next round, yes? Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Top 5 answers on the board.
Could have done this Family Feud style.
I think, Ian, the new WCAT studio might have to have a whiteboard of some sort. Councilor Carney, are you ready, or a little bit more time?
I'd go with Gene Sullivan and Felch.
Councilor Chines?
I would go with Felch and Smith Galvin.
Okay, I'm going with Sullivan and Smith Galvin. Doug?
Oddly enough, I'm going Felch and Sullivan. I typed it down. So me and you, John.
John?
Eugene Sullivan and Julie Smith Galvin.
And
Stacy.
I would do Sullivan and Felch.
All right, so it's 5 for Sullivan, 4 for Felch, 3 for Smith Galvin. So Sullivan it is.
Sullivan it is. Okay. Do
All
I
right.
have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to appoint Jean Sullivan, Tiana Veldwich, and Emily Rivera as the community members of the Town Administrator Search Committee, with sincere thanks to everyone else who applied and expressed an interest and took the time to raise their hands.
Second.
Second, great. Any further discussion? Thank you all for making that process easy and efficient. Thank you, everyone who submitted their names. Thank you for submitting nominated names. And with that, all in favor? Aye. Great. Okay. Thank you, Steve and Sherry. So Sherry, you'll let the folks know
Yes, I will.
who are part of, and you'll let the search firm know as well. Great. And just a reminder, we have that community survey. So please fill it out and weigh in on what your priorities are for the new town administrator.
I don't think you want an alternate, but I don't think it was a bad idea. Was Sullivan didn't make the,
He did.
He did.
We voted on Sullivan.
okay, so he beat out Felch.
Yes.
Okay, so we should, I think that we should have, just in case, like, one of these three, she was clearly the second runner-up.
She and Smith
In
Galvin.
case- in
Yes.
ca- Well, Julie got one vote
Yeah,
less
yeah.
than her, right?
Yeah,
so- Sorry, Julie. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you're right in terms of thinking that, we're asking 7 people to do something that they may very well a week in back out of. And it's fine. We can always vote again if we can always add somebody to the list.
Yeah, I think we went through that. We have this list. I think if something comes up, if somebody has something come up, then we can
Yeah,
reappoint somebody if need be.
okay.
Councilor Carney?
This process has been excellent. I compliment you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We can't vote on Steve staying, so this will have to do instead.
You can vote.
Fair point.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Yes, we did.
Okay, moving on. Item 6A, licenses.
Madam Chair, move to approve an entertainment license for Life Love Cheese LLC.
Second, a question on this, and it's not a heavily populated neighborhood down there, just so make sure that the music in the patio is not too loud.
Yeah, I think they close at 7 p.m., John.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Yeah, they're only, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You said that because you know I'll be in bed.
I count.
And they can't have music outside of their hours, right? That would be like another license or a
They
special
would have to-
something?
Right, they would have to apply for like a special entertainment license, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any other, okay, discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye, great, unanimous, thank you.
Does that stay with the business? Like if she,
It has to be renewed every year.
oh, it has to be,
No,
oh,
yeah.
okay. So
Yearly
like if she
renewal.
changed it up and was like, oh no, I have a liquor license and I have a license for live entertainment, could she just be like, oh, I'm getting out of the cheese business and moving on to
Well, she does not have a liquor license for pouring,
Oh.
so she could apply for that.
Oh, wait, so we can't drink at her live music outside?
No.
No,
All right. Can we amend it?
You could eat cheese though.
You have to apply for a
Cheese.
different
Cheese.
license.
Is there a license, like what we're doing next, there's a sampling license? They don't have a sampling license at the wine store? The cheese store?
Um,
the cheese store can do
Can do
samplings, yes.
samplings,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
that's a very different animal.
Cheese
Mhm.
samples.
no, I think
They
I think they can do liquor
they can do
samplings as
liquor
well.
samplings, too.
Good for them.
They definitely do cheese samples.
And they have events there, so they may have, wine and cheese. I'm not sure. I've never been to an event there, but they may have sampling and
Wine
pairings. I
tasting.
don't know. We don't know. We should.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, you can't do pairings, but you can do samples.
Okay.
Just for the clerk, so if they did do an event where they actually had pouring, they would have to apply for a one-day liquor license.
You can't have that when you have a.
Got it.
A no, yeah, you can't have two licenses for
Okay,
alcohol,
got it.
right.
So no,
No.
got it, okay.
And the outdoor seating can't be it isn't a BYOB location then?
We don't do
No
BY.
BY.
No BYOB.
We don't do that?
No.
Why the hell not? Can't wait till you're gone.
I won't turn you in, though.
That's a vote of the town council, I'm assuming, right?
We don't do BYOB, just not in our practice through our regs with the Board of Health. It's more problems, because it's not regulated. BYOB, people don't bring they're not tip certified people aren't bringing you your drinks. You don't know how much people are drinking. We used to do it years ago and actually had more problems.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't suggesting that. I
Yeah.
was more like, oh, if she sells you the wine, can you
No.
drink it yourself on the
No,
front lawn? But no,
you should not.
you should not.
Moving on.
It looks like, I don't know if we want to, it looks like we have the applicant for the next license on. I don't know if we want to give him a chance to speak before a motion.
Yes. We have someone online.
Yeah, Bliss Point is here for the farmer's market, yes.
Hi, this is Jeff with Bliss Point Metering.
Hi, Jeff. You want to talk a little bit about this license application?
Sure. We are going to be a vendor at the Wakefield Farmers Market as a wine vendor, actually a mead vendor. It's alcohol made from honey, very similar to wine, except we use honey instead of grapes. This is our second season at the farmers market, and we're seeking a farmers market wine permit to be able to participate with bottle sales only. We will not be sampling at the market per Wakefield policy at the moment. However, I would like to point out that we do 30 other community markets throughout Massachusetts. At every single one of them, we are allowed to sample without any issues, without any problems, and we don't have to be police fingerprinted at any one of them in order to participate. I'd just like you to consider that, but I understand that our participation right now is as a non-sampling vendor.
In that case, Madam Chair, move to approve the alcohol sales license for Bliss Point Meadery as presented.
Can I ask a question first of the applicant?
So let's.
I'd love
can
to
we
answer
just get
questions.
Can we get a
Yep.
Second.
a second and now
Okay.
discussion? Yeah.
Are you requesting that we allow you to sample?
I don't think it's in the cards right now. If that was in the cards, then yes, we would love to be able to sample at the farmers market. Meat is a product that's not very well understood by people, so sampling to people helps them understand what it is and would improve our sales and our connection with people at the market. If that's not something you are empowered to do right now, then I am asking you to consider it as a policy change for our participation, other alcohol vendors' participation in the farmers markets in subsequent years.
The reason I ask the question is I know that in the past, there's been a hard cider and a wine vendor at the market that has sampled.
It was a recent change within the past 2 or 3 years. I was not a vendor at the time when sampling was allowed, and I would like to see us move in a direction where it is allowed again.
I just don't know the history.
So Councillor Chines.
So a couple of things. So first of all, I think this is, I've mentioned before, the health department is working on some thoughts around draft regulations related to liquor licensing that I know they want to bring to us and the Board of Health for comment. I think this is one of these topics that should be part of that discussion. From a historical standpoint, we never actually granted sample licenses to any vendors at the farmers market. There may have been vendors that were providing samples without, I think, the knowledge of the council, but you know, we never actually, we had always only approved sales licenses only.
It is generally part of the ABCC farmer winery alcohol licensing that permits sampling as part of bottle sales. Typically, unless it's explicitly not allowed by select board, town council, licensing commission, whatever it may be, then it's generally allowed.
Councillor Carney.
I guess the question is, when are they about to promulgate these?
So they're going through, my understanding is the department's kind of doing the research to, you know, put together some concept ideas now. Their intention is to bring something to the Board of Health this summer and then come to us really to get some feedback and then kind of finalize a set of regulations from there.
Thank you.
So I think timing-wise, I think if we do make any changes, I would expect that we probably would have the chance to apply them for next season's farmers market.
Councillor Butler.
Yeah, I feel that Jonathan just gave us the answer that I believe our health director has given, but I also think that's nonsense. I think Anthony's had a year and plus to get this sampling thing on the agenda because we discussed it last year, I think with these people even, and we thought it, and at the time I thought it was a ridiculous overreach by us, and again, standing alone in our puritanical ways. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that he can't have a sampling license, that we are the only community that does not offer sampling. Speaks
out of 30
to,
communities that I've
yeah. You know, when I'm selling, you know, I mean, honestly, then that's one of the reasons why I was concerned that we were bringing this up at the point of discussion on the motion, because I don't necessarily want to approve this motion if we could also approve him for a sampling. I don't understand. We don't have anything explicitly against this sample licenses, so we had to go in and override and tell him no in terms of a sales versus sampling.
So the license application we have says no sampling.
Well, I think he applied for a sampling license last year, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I did not apply for a sampling license because I knew that Wakefield would not allow that. My understanding is that it was a position of the police department.
It was the police that chimed in last year. I thought it was ridiculous of the police to chime in, and I think us now putting it under the veneer of the health department is equally ridiculous. Again, I would opt that if you want to have a vibrant and, you know, continuing to grow farmers market, then you can't hamstring our vendors. We're not suggesting that they're selling I don't think they're selling 40s. They're giving out sips. And especially with something like mead where it's definitely an acquired taste. So I think we're being unfair. No, I haven't acquired it, but notwithstanding, I just think we shouldn't think that we shouldn't overstep what most other communities are doing. We don't have a unique farmers market by any stretch. So that would be my take.
Councillor Chines?
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
And I think he's at a year. He's had a lot of time to work on this, and I just don't think he has.
This wasn't brought to the health department for review. This is something that really they've just started doing the work on sort of the overall set of regulations, not just related to farmers market sampling sales, but just some of the larger questions around what are the parameters in which we want to think about granting licenses. Because we've had a lot of these discussions, I think, for the last few sales licenses that we've granted, where I think we've appropriately asked, do we want to put different parameters on those? And it has raised the question of should we take a step backwards and look at the policy in general? That's just my suggestion, is that because we have not looked at our liquor licensing policies in, Steve, at least 10 years, if not well before that, that there is a panoply of these issues that have come up that, we should look at in more of a sort of rigorous way than just deciding when there's an applicant in front of us we want to do yay or nay.
Yeah, although sorry, go ahead.
I could go either way on this. I don't think there'd be anything wrong with trying it, and having this vendor show how it works down there and make that part of their research to look at and monitor it and tell us what they might think is wrong with it.
Steve?
I'm thinking that if the council wants to go down that road, and that's certainly their right, I think you should have the Board of Health here, and I think you should have the police chief here. Because that has been the current practice, has been not to allow sampling based on really the comments of the police chief, and I think he deserves to be heard again, no matter how the council votes. And you have an application that did not apply for it, so why would anybody come to speak about it?
Well, he didn't apply for it because it was,
but that's what's on our agenda, is a non-sampling.
Sort of strong-armed him last year.
So we have another meeting before the farmer market opens. So I feel like let's vote on the application we have in front of us. And then I agree, Steve, I think at our next meeting, could we have the Board of Health and Chief Scory come? And then in the meantime, maybe, Sherry, you can let the alcohol vendors at the farmer's market know that they should put in an application for sampling as well, even the ones that we've approved are coming up, because that's the week before the farmer's market opens. So we can...
Sure. Why is the Board of Health involved?
They're involved on,
I think under state law there.
yeah.
Oh, they are. That's what I wasn't
yeah.
sure if they had to be or if we were just opting to include them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So we'll add it to the June 9th agenda, and that's the week that the farmer's market opens up on the 14th.
And we'll have to circle in the farmer's market management as well, because my guess is that the vendor agreements say specifically no sampling. So
At the behest of the town.
right, no,
Correct.
exactly, but you wouldn't want us to say, okay, we're now going to pass a sampling thing with the blessing of the police and the Board of Health, and then the farmer's market not be part of that dialogue. So if we're having people come on June 9th, let's have the full group that needs to understand the issue.
Okay, any other discussion on this? So we have a motion for the license to sell, not sample at the farmer's market. All in favor? Aye, great, unanimous. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you to the council.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
We'll probably see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Moving on, 7A, appointments.
Madam Chair, move to appoint Peter Constantine to a 3-year term on the Veteran Advisory Board ending April 30, 2028.
Second.
Great. Any discussion? Once more, we have such great volunteers in our town. Thank you so much for applying. All in favor? 6-0. Great.
Considering I probably should have just taken these all as one motion.
That's
I will-
okay. Do each one. We have plenty of time.
All right. Move to appoint Dan Didamo, with apologies if I'm mispronouncing his name, to a 3-year term on the Recreation Commission ending April 30, 2028.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. John, aye. Great. 6-0. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, move to appoint Sean Santos to an unexpired term on the Fence Viewing Committee ending April 30, 2027.
How tall is Sean?
Sir?
How tall is he?
Second the motion first.
Second.
And then discussion. How tall is he? That is always the good question to ask.
Was not included in his application.
We also want to clarify that this is not former town councilor Ann Santos's husband, even though it's the same exact spelling to the name. So we did our research, and there are 2 Sean Santoses in town.
I say that in jest because in the 70s we had 3 fence viewers and none of them were over 5 feet.
But we don't discriminate against people in their height, so we are grateful for Sean for stepping up for the Fence Viewing Committee. All in favor? Great, thank you, 6-0. And Town Council appointment of liaisons, thank you to my colleagues for putting in your request of liaisons and being adaptable and flexible. You will see in our materials, we've assigned everyone. I mentioned earlier today, thank you, Stacy and Doug, for joining the Economic Development Council. You'll see, I think everyone has committees and boards that they should be happy with. If you haven't already, please connect with the chairs or the staffer. What I'm hoping to do, what we've done in the past, is almost quarterly, just check in with, the committees that you're the liaison to, and then we just come back here and report. So if there's something great that they're doing, the library has new steps, the rec committee starting a new program.
MWMGLD has increased their pilot to like $7 million.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's great. School building. So whatever updates you have, I was taking you seriously.
No, you should not.
What great news that would be for an update at a future meeting. So nothing really formal, just kind of letting us know. And then I think this year in particular, I know we're just ending our fiscal year, but next year as we do the budget, that's where it's really important too about people's budget needs and things like that. That's really going to be important for the liaisons to be tuned into that. And then just a reminder that we are having another colleague join us next month. And so we might do a little reshifting because we didn't leave a lot open. So we might do a little reshifting just to keep that on everyone's plate. Any questions? And then Sherry, thank you for if there are meetings that need to get on people's calendars for some of these, if you can, you're so good about that, but getting meetings on people's calendars. The expectation is if you can make it, great, but also just have open lines of communications with the committees or boards that you are on, especially the ones where we have votes. So housing, right?
The housing production plan that Jonathan and I have votes on, but that is optimistic that it'll be wrapping up in the next 6 months.
We may have one more meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But the housing trust is a voting one as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. And any questions, feel free to ask or ask Sherry, the knower of all information. Item 8, donations.
Madam Chair, move to accept a donation of $17,333 to the BB Library from various donors with thanks.
Second. You gonna second it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna.
Supposed to kick me.
Motion has been seconded by John Carney. Any discussion?
Just to note that this includes the $15,000 from the Friends of the Library for Plaza Jazz this summer, which I know we're all excited about, and grateful to the Friends for sponsoring that again.
That's great. Steve, are the steps going to be done by then?
It looked like they're pretty well along, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been driven by. That's great. Okay.
What is public printer donations? That just is people who do printing, or did somebody donate a printer?
No, it's the money that you pay to print at the
Oh,
library.
okay.
It's technically a donation.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Item 9, warrants.
Madam Chair, mostly the bond issue was a big issue on this warrant, on the April 1st warrant. The light department paying for their power, it was a pretty big hit to, who do they pay on that mass power? But
Well, Melwac or whatever.
Oh, yeah. And then group insurance, big hit.
Thank you. Any questions for John?
John, was the payment to gas and light, was that to a power provider?
Yes.
Is that one of their contractual?
Yes.
What we pay to them, they pay to them.
Okay.
To pass through,
Is
yeah.
that an electrical or gas provider?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't know which one offhand.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have to take a vote on that. That's just for our information. Everything going okay with the new town treasurer?
Yes.
Did they?
Yep.
Did they sign off on these warrants? Was that?
Actually, these are before the election, so.
Okay.
No. The accountant signs off on them anyway.
Okay, moving on. Item 10, approval of minutes.
Madam Chair, move to approve the Town Council meeting minutes of April 28th, 2025, and May 13, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Great, thank you. And announcements. Any announcements? Councillor Chines.
Thank you. Just to share a few about a couple of events coming up. The Wake Up Coalition is having their annual meeting tomorrow morning at the 20th at the Crystal Community Club from 8 to 9:30. It's actually their 10th annual meeting. So really exciting milestone for Wake Up, and again, they continue to do just amazing work with the young people in our community. So thank you to them for all of their great work. Also wanted to mention that FOLQ is having their annual meeting this Thursday night from 5:30 to 8:30 at Bear Hill Country Club, and I believe the developers of the new housing complex at the head of the lake are speaking about some of the work that they've been contributing to around inflow and improvements to the lake. So should be a good take, and obviously a great chance to support a good organization. And then finally, just wanted to mention our Memorial Day commemoration coming up on Monday at 1 o'clock at the Upper Commons. So fingers crossed for good weather for that. But that always is a moving ceremony, and I hope people can make that on the holiday.
Thank you. Do you want to update about anything? No. Okay. I'm going to do one for you then.
Are we meeting on the before the 9th, or was the 9th our next meeting?
The 9th is our next meeting.
Okay.
And then tomorrow we have our retreat. So we will be meeting tomorrow, but it's not a meeting. We're just doing a retreat. The agenda is online.
And that's at Town Hall.
That is at Town Hall.
Will there be sampling?
Yes.
There will be dinner. Just a couple of events because we're not meeting again till the 9th for our meeting. Just to remind people that on I need my calendar, excuse me, on June 1st, Sunday, June 1st, we're having a retirement celebration for Steve. So please join us starting at noon if you can join us for that. The following day, we are actually having the Pride flag raising hosted by the HRC. That's going to be Monday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. Those are my 2 events. Anything else, Councillor Butler?
So I think I believe it's May 31st is the dedication or the rededication of the Civil War Monument, Civil War Memorial.
Memorial. Soldiers and Sailors.
Soldiers and
Monument.
Sailors, 6 of 1. But I do hope that everybody can attend. I think there are a number of festivities planned around that, and it should be an exciting event. And I know previous Councillor Vincent has done yeoman's work in getting this ready. And then, as the father of a high school senior, I would be remiss in saying, everybody hopefully will come down and see the kids all decked out in their prom attire on the 4th, and then I believe graduation is the 7th. So congratulations to all the Wakefield High School seniors.
And their parents.
And their parents.
That is great. Councillor Constance?
And I'll congratulate the HRC for a really successful food truck and Asian culture festival yesterday afternoon down at the Civic Center. It was from 12 to 2, and they had food trucks and dancing inside and at the Civic Center. It was incredibly well attended, and I think it was, we talked about Porch Fest a little bit earlier, kind of like, let's do this, let's try something new. There were hundreds of people having a great time out in the sun and eating some food and watching the dragon dance, and it was great. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was great. I couldn't make it, so I'm glad that it was successful.
It was great.
And the weather held out.
Oh my gosh, it was perfect.
That's great.
Perfect day to be outside.
Any updates, John? No.
I'm going to be at the Friends of the Lake Quantipout on Thursday, so
Great.
looking forward to that.
Great. And then one other thing that I forgot to mention, last week I was joined by Councillor Constance and Councillor Carney at the Senior Center renovation grand opening of the 2nd and 3rd floor. And it was a beautiful event. It is a beautiful space. Thank you to everyone from IT to DPW, and really led by Steve and by Karen and her team over there. It looked amazing. It was a wonderful event. It was so nice to see that building packed. I've already got requests about how people can reserve the new space, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that process is like. But there are moments where where I can acknowledge the great work that we have done in town, and that was a vote that the town council took in 2023 to dedicate ARPA funds for that space. So we did good, but please go check it out and sign up for a Zumba class while you're there.
Are the windows up?
The new windows are installed, yes.
Okay.
So you can see the new windows, the new floors, renovated bathrooms, right?
And bathrooms, spaces, spaces for programs. Karen's talking about getting a golf simulator in one of them, which would be really fun. So, it looked great, came out fabulous. Great job by DPW and IT and Karen's people at the senior center. Fabulous.
So we're gonna see you hanging around there.
You are, right? I told them I was gonna be a patron.
Thus the golf simulator?
I know, that was news to me.
Any other updates?
If I
Steve?
just want to thank Councilor Butler for mentioning the Soldiers and Sailors rededication. So this is going to begin at 12:30 with reenactors, many different groups, reenactors who will be on the common. So it's really going to be a very interactive type of event. So I think young people will like it to come down and see what life was like during the Civil War. There's going to be a artillery cannon there as well. So the ceremony starts at 3, but from 12:30 on, there'll be a lot of interesting things to see downtown. So, a lot of things for kids to come early. The high school students are doing synopsis on both soldiers and battles that are going on there. So it really is going to be very interesting. So come down and enjoy the day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, any matters not anticipated for the agenda? No? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Great. All in favor? Great. Okay, I'm adjourning this meeting. Our next regular town council meeting will be Monday, June 9th, starting at 7 p.m. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.